I believe that I am the best person for the job of President of the United States. My unique talents give me the ability to be assertive and diplomatic at the same time. I'm a person who will spike the conversation, who will get politics rolling and stimulate new questions and new answers to our current political dilemma facing our nation. I believe I have a keen understanding of the economy and how to improve where we're at relative to other nations around the world. I believe that our goal at America's Third Party was to create a very strong platform in which would propel the American people forward with new opportunities and a new possibility of creating a better nation, a cleaner environment, and less war. I believe that I am the best person for the job of President of the United States. My unique talents give me the ability to be assertive and diplomatic at the same time.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to America's Third Party. I'm David Sponheim, and we are now looking at the celebration in Wuhan, the pool party extravaganza. No one's wearing masks. Everyone's sitting by each other. It's as if they pulled the fast one on the American people, making it seem like the end of the world was happening back in March. Remember that? And we were supposed to all wear masks and take very tough measures, and they simply are back to normal now. Yet our government can't understand that masks aren't important, that this is not about preventing a virus from spreading. This is about how the Democrats expanded the fear of COVID. That's what's really happening. And now they have a Democratic Party. Are they going to talk about how the fear has been expanded by Wuhan? No. They're going to continue to expand the fear. The Democrats are pushing the fear agenda. And the ClimateGate position that they have is equally preposterous. They believe somehow that our carbon emissions, us individually, are the cause of the weather changes, when clearly weather modification has been going on for years in the skies above us, and we're just puppets in this entire disaster, this puppet play. We're sitting here being sprayed on, day in, day out. There's no limit to all the different things that are happening right now. Let me peel back a few layers of the onion. This is a chemical spill or spray that was done in 1946. That's how long they've been spraying the skies above us. And the Democrats refuse to acknowledge that. They call this conspiracy thinking, this idea that chemtrails are causing weather change, when this is an actual science that's been going on for years. Yet the Democrats talk about a way that somehow we're going to block the sun by spraying aerosol injections, stratospheric aerosol injections in the sky. It's absurd. I mean, now these are the same people who've been accusing people of being conspiracy whack jobs are now suggesting that's what we should do. How absurd. And they're now having a convention right now. So the people of Wuhan are celebrating, the convention's going on. We're going to go there to the convention right now, live, DNC. Let's take a look.
Killed his wife and infant daughter.
He knows what it's like to thank God you have health care.
Joe Biden is my dream. I want an old man who's a pervert to hang around children and give him his personal phone number. He's just the best guy ever. I like the way he touches my wife. He really smells her hair up really well. I mean, what kind of people would stand there and support Joe Biden at this point when he's clearly demented? And pushing an agenda of climate change, ClimateGate, when we're clearly dealing with weather modification. It's ridiculous. So many things are overwhelming to a lot of people right now, but let's simplify it. Yeah, baby. What do you got? We just talked to a bunch of people who've been talking about this perverted guy, Bill Clinton, who's now publishing pictures of him getting back massages by young girls. Look at this. One moment, please. Yeah, here he is getting massaged by a woman who claimed she was raped at Epstein Island and was lucky to escape. Look at this pervert. Now, you can take it that way, or you can say, well, what a nice guy he was, because she did say that he never assaulted her physically. He just sat there and had a massage when he went on that African trip with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, remember, Bill Clinton, who's going to speak tonight in a few minutes, he is in no way a person who is shirking this. He actually said he never went to Epstein Island. You know, the place the submarine base is located with the human trafficking? Yeah. And all the Hollywood stars have gone to it? Yeah, that submarine depot for child trafficking? Right. He says they didn't do it. Hey, we've been knocked off Vaughn. I'm going to go back on. We're getting hosed right now. Let's go back to the live convention. I'm just waiting for Bill to speak.
That's a big effing deal.
Okay, we got the Democrats talking as though they have a brain, but we always have to ask themselves, why don't they ask questions about pesticides and herbicides? Why don't they talk about the dangers of genetically modified food? Why are all the Democrats ignoring chemtrails, like I said? Why are they always pitching Greta Thunberg's big, huge BS story? Greta, would you like to speak?
With your empty words, I'm one of the lucky ones.
Oh yeah, you're one of the lucky ones, all right. Okay, let's get to the chat room, everyone. Welcome. I am not green, no. But I'm a green person, you're right. Detectives debunked the video alleging Carruthers Ranch used cages to hold humans hostage. Wow. Detectives. Wow. So we just looked at a bunch of cages that were located in Carruthers, California. And now we've got debunkers already working on trying to cover it up. Oh, okay. Fresno, California. The Fresno County Sheriff's Office received multiple calls from concerned citizens who reported seeing metal cages stored outdoors at a ranch in Carruthers. The source of these sightings was a video being posted on YouTube. Yeah, and we played that video earlier in our pre-show. As a result of the calls, the Fresno County Sheriff did a search of the area. It was determined the cages were previously used by the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation for inmates to experience outdoor events safely. The metal holding cells or cages have been retired and are no longer used. The local metal recycling business ended up buying these cages directly from CDCR. Well, that's very reassuring. Yeah, who needs human cages with toilets in them? You know, what would those be used for other than complete incarceration of the human population?
Nature of the virus. Ebola does not spread through the air. And by the time you're contagious, most people are so sick that they're bedridden. Third, it didn't get into many urban areas, and that was just luck. If it had gotten into a lot more urban areas, the case numbers would have been much larger. So next time we might not be so lucky. You can have a virus where people feel well enough while they're infectious that they get on a plane or they go to a market. The source of the virus could be a natural epidemic like Ebola, or it could be bioterrorism. And so there are things that would literally make things 1,000 times worse. In fact, let's look at a model of a virus spread through the air like the Spanish flu back in 1918.
Wrong. He made a big mistake there. He said that the Spanish flu is spread by air. That's completely false. Bill Gates is not a health expert, and he is completely lying about the transmission of this disease. Completely. The 1918 Spanish flu spread by vaccine. It's a known fact that historically the vaccine was the medium by which the virus spread. And what happened was the Rockefeller Foundation, who also support Bill Gates, by the way, they've really helped him. They were the ones that contaminated the virus, the vaccine pool in 1918. They were the ones that did it. So 100 million people died in 1918 because of 35 strains of bad vaccines that were acquired from an influenza B virus that the Rockefeller Foundation put together under the auspices of helping. They actually hurt terribly. And no one really was prosecuted for that event. So now they're doing it again, right out of the same playbook of the Rockefeller Foundation. All right, we're going to take a look at another link here. Perverted troll pulled from toys. Yeah, I saw that. Check this out. Adam Green is going to talk about this weird perverted troll toy that had weird things going on with its genitals. I know this is a little bit weird, but yeah, Hasbro had to pull it. I don't know who clears this stuff for use, but it's like they're grooming kids for weird stuff. Okay, hang on. We got a mute on the site. Hang on. Here's Adam Green.
Okay, this is disturbing, not a coincidence. Out of New York Post, this is from August 6th, 5 days ago. Hasbro pulls Trolls doll after complaints it grooms children for abuse. Do they have the video? They do.
Yep.
Play the video here.
Okay, I want
This
to do a
truly
quick
is
video.
disturbing, and I don't think this is just a design accident. They know exactly what they're doing with this sexualization and subliminal messaging to young children. We've seen all the Disney stuff doing it. We know who's behind that.
Absolutely.
Who's behind
Okay,
Disney?
I wanted to do a quick video because I find this disturbing and I find it something that needs to be shared. As you all know, stuff that's been going on in the world about the sex trafficking in kids and things that are thrown in our kids' faces to kind of groom them and make them kind of a little bit more oblivious to things that are really happening. So it was my daughter's birthday a couple days ago, and she turned 2, and she was birthday.
Blah, blah, blah.
It says that if you push her tummy right here, sorry, it's glaring. If you push her tummy right here, she makes 10 phrases and sounds, and that's all it talks about, and it comes with a little comb. So, I mean, she does all that. You touch her tummy, and she makes little singing sounds, and she's super cute.
This is so deceptive.
Well, I was showing her
and
to
sneaky.
my husband, and I heard some other sounds that I had never heard before. And if you look down here, I figured a video was the best way. So I just touched her tummy, and she's gonna sing for a minute. But down
Good
here
song.
is a button, right here on her privates. And if you push
Literal. They put a button in her private parts, female genitalia.
those, she makes these sounds.
Okay, I think I've seen enough. Wow. You get the whole drift. I think we covered the subject. All right. This is insane. And Hasbro pulled the product. Yeah, I know, it's nuts. But how does this stuff get clearance to even be a product? Well, apparently nobody checks anything when they, buy it at the dollar store. China oftentimes sells things. I remember seeing a blast horn. It said for ages 6 and over. And it had the ability to blow your eardrums out at the dollar store for $1. A blast horn. Oh yeah, we want blast horns in America where we can blow eardrums out of children. 6 and over, preferably. I mean, this is crazy. Yeah, that's a good video. Thank you for that link. We'll play more of it later. Ben Shapiro was on a roll today, and he was exposing the same thing I talked about yesterday. The fact that Kamala Harris was laughing about it being a debate. Yeah, she was claiming it was a debate and that she could lie. And Ben Shapiro went off on that, as I did, that she's appearing to be like a liar when she says it's a debate, when she called Joe Biden a racist that hung around with segregationists, when she said that she believed Joe Biden actually did sexually molest those women. It's a debate, and she's like laughing. And he called her out on it. Here he is.
From Joe Biden is the worst person I've ever met to Joe Biden is the greatest, most wonderful, kindest human being I've ever met. Manchurian candidate style. Remember? And then she openly admits that she was just lying because it was a debate. I mean, isn't that kind of unbelievable?
Yeah.
How does she get away with that? How? How does she get away with, and you know the answer, how she gets away with that, because the media do not give two damns. The same people who will sit there and call Donald Trump a liar day after day after day, and rightly call him out when he does something that is wrong, and some...
Now, he's obviously, shifting it to defend Donald Trump because he is a Republican. But the bottom line is, if Kamala Harris thinks that debating is about lying, then she does not understand debate. Debate involves not only factual evidence, but support arguments that build upon that factual evidence. A debate is not about lying. A debate is about presenting the truth to the American people and getting judged on the merit of your statements, how you deliver it, what you're saying. Not about lies. So these people have a very strange view of what debating is. I don't have any problem succeeding in life. No, I've succeeded in every way I wanted to succeed. You all decide what is measured success in this world. Okay. You can always debate what your level of success is. It's yours to decide, not somebody else's. You can't stand there and say, oh, well, you have to have $50 million, buddy, to be successful. No, you could be successful just owning a piece of property and living comfortably off the land. That's success in my eyes. Robert Trump's newly opened Twitter account shut down by Twitter at the very moment he died. Yeah, weird stuff. There's evidence that Robert Trump was tweeting some pretty outrageous stuff right before his death, and mostly about aliens. Yeah, mostly about aliens. So I'm not really sure if we have a real story here. When we find out what Robert Trump wrote about other than aliens, and how his brother was going to, go after Barack Obama's birth certificate, which I think is kind of strange, coming out so late. I don't think we have much to go on there. But if indeed he was tweeting before he died, it would lead us to believe that maybe he was killed. So we will look at that as a possibility. What more can we say? In the past 72 hours, nearly 50 people in New York were shot. Yeah, this is the kind of governance that the Democrats are pushing. De Blasio. This is the kind of governance that they want in the city of New York. All right? The city has fallen 50 shot in over the last 72 hours, escaped from New York. Between Thursday and Saturday, 49 people were shot in the largest city in the United States. An uptick in gun violence continues this summer, but are we really concerned about gun violence or lack of leadership?
If Sleepy Joe Biden were to become president, he would immediately pass legislation to gut every single police department in America. You know that. And probably she's a step worse. She's a step worse.
Yeah.
Kamala.
Kamala.
No one will be safe in Biden's America. No city, no town, no suburb will be spared. So in recent months, New York City has witnessed the horrors that result from putting extreme left politicians into power.
Donald, could you ask New York PD's police chief to release Anthony Weiner's laptop? I'd like to take a look at the 630,000 emails, specifically the one called Frazzle Drip. Donald. So he gets the approval from NYPD now. He gets the endorsement, but he still hasn't found any of those 630,000 emails. So how can you QAnon people somehow believe that Trump isn't supporting the deep state? Would USPS sell you a historical blue box? No, I don't think so. I think they're going to put them in a metal crusher and destroy them all. Let's make dementia popular again, Morpheus. That's a great campaign for Joe Biden. I should have said that's a great campaign for that guy, what's his name? Who's running for, that would have been interesting. Somebody should ask Joe Biden, Joe, do you remember going to the Alzheimer's clinic? Do you remember who you met? And he'll probably go, Kamala. Kamala is her name. He remembers Kamala. Kamala. She comes and goes. She's lying all the time, apparently, in debates. So we don't even know what is true coming out of Kamala's mouth. Okay, and moving toward... thank you for that verification of the ranch of used cages that hold humans. I'm glad. I feel so much safer now to know that they're just getting rid of these miles and miles of human cages with toilets in them. I don't believe the story, but thank you for trying to debunk that. Appreciate it. Here we go, live with Charles Schumer, one of the keynote speakers at the DNC. Let's take a look. Chuck, go ahead.
And with our unity, we will bring bold and dramatic change to our country. Let me tell you some of the things we do. With President Biden, Vice President Harris, and a Democratic majority, we will make health care affordable for all. We'll undo the vicious inequality of income and wealth.
But wait a second, you aren't lowering the cost of health care. Wouldn't that be a better move right now than to continually borrow money, which you're putting us so deep in debt we'll never get out of?
That has plagued America for far too long, and will take strong, decisive action. Our infrastructure and make sure every home, from inner city to rural America, has broadband.
Oh yeah, every home's going to have broadband because you're going to stick 5G up our ass without even testing it for safety, you fool.
We will save the post office and once and for all defeat COVID-19, this evil disease.
You know, an evil disease. What's evil is you people pitching the belief that COVID-19 is just spreading like crazy when it's not. That's the evil part.
In citizens. Together, we can reignite the hope once felt by millions of men and women, huddled masses on creaking ships, who glimpsed this mighty woman with her torch, knowing they could build a better life here in America. And out of this long national nightmare, America will finally awaken to a brighter future and a new day.
Senator Chuck Schumer reminding us that leadership requires integrity and accountability. Real leaders don't ask what we can do for them, they ask what they can do for us. In a minute, we will hear from two former presidents, and they're going to speak to that. But first, here are Caroline Kennedy and her son, Jack Schlossberg.
60 years ago, in a crowded LA stadium, my father accepted the Democratic nomination for president. He challenged Americans to look to the future and join him on a journey toward a new frontier.
It was a call to the young at heart, regardless of age or party. Times have changed, but the themes of my grandfather's speech, courage, unity, and patriotism, are as important today as they were in 1960. And once again, we need a leader who believes America's best days are yet to come. We need Joe Biden.
A big part of America and systemic racism should be corrected. I'm going to say that Rosalind and I have very fought every day against racism.
Biden used the N-word twice, publicly. What kind of a person would do that? Yeah, I don't know what to say about this guy, Steve-O, got a tattoo of a man raping a baby. Who wants to even deal with that? Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, who is Steve-O and why is that important? I need to know. Inquiring minds need to know. Thank you for asking, though. Steve-O. Did you hear about that? Yeah, I don't even want to bring it in. It's just so disturbing. A man putting a tattoo. It's just like, how can you even go with that? And then, of course, Bill Gates had that relationship with his media manager who had 6,500 images of child rape porn. I know. Rick Allen Jones, out there with child rape porn on his hard drive, was arrested at the Bill Gates mansion. Yeah, no problem. Take your time. Was arrested at the mansion with this particular, stuff on his hard drive, and he only got 90 days, which is really bizarre. 90 days in jail for having all that horrible stuff. So yeah, there's a lot to be concerned about. Hey, I finally had my new projections for when I turn 175 years old. Actually, I expect to be 250 years old. So this is Li Wang Tong, the one of the oldest human beings ever on Earth. He lived to be 256 years. And as you can see, he looked pretty good for his age. Now, Dave, you're being very nice. It's not appropriate to talk that way about me. But you know what I mean. So I want to say thank you, Li Wang Chung, for being such a great an inspiration to all of us who want to look very good when they get old. Now, Jimmy's, 96 or something?
For decades, he has been my loyal friend.
Watching TV and zapping people on social media, he's your man. Denying, distracting, and demeaning works great if you're trying to entertain or inflame. But in a real crisis, it collapses like a house of cards. COVID just doesn't respond to any of that. To beat it, you've got to actually go to work and deal with the facts. Our party is united in offering you a very different choice. A go-to-work president. A down-to-earth, get-the-job-done guy. A man with a mission to take responsibility, not shift the blame. Concentrate, not distract. Unite, not divide. Our choice is Joe Biden. Joe helped bring us back from a recession before, and he can do it again. In 2009, Barack Obama and Joe Biden started with the worst economy since the Great Depression. And when they were done, they delivered more than 6 straight years of job growth. What did Joe do? He accepted responsibility for implementing the Recovery Act. His work created a lot of new jobs and started many new companies in communities across our country. Now Joe's committed to building America back again. How? He's given us smart, detailed plans to invest in areas vital to our future. Innovative financing for modern factories and small businesses. Good jobs in green energy and conservation to combat climate change. A modern infrastructure that brings small town and rural America the connectivity and investment others take for granted.
He's just repeating the same things they've always said. They don't talk about the dangers of pesticides or herbicides. They never talk about the fluoride in our water system. They never talk about the 5G dangers that are out there or testing the 5G network. They don't talk about electromagnetic frequency radiation problems in our daily life. He never ever, they just use these canned words, global climate change, cap and trade legislation.
Jobs and need new ones. Better for farmers tired of being collateral damage in trade wars. Better for workers caring for the sick, elderly, and people with disabilities. Better because of a living wage and access to affordable higher education and health care, including prescription drugs.
These are all buzzwords that they were using over the past 15 decades. I mean, literally. Since Andrew Jackson, remember him? The first Democrat? Okay, I'm gonna put this on hold or give you a little bit more of him. But I don't know how much more I can handle. I mean, we saw pictures of him, having a massage with a 22-year-old woman who was being, she said she was raped at Epstein's location, and here she is massaging Bill Clinton. That reached the news today, and now we're listening to him talk.
Biden's America, where we all live and work together. It's a clear choice. The future of our country is riding on it. Thank you.
It's time to call the roll and officially nominate the Democratic.
It's time to call the roll of the official selection, which is not even Democratic at all. In fact, there's no Democratic action going on in the Democratic Party. They're the least Democrats I've ever seen. They told me to shut up in 2007, that I couldn't even talk in any of the meetings. They told me to shut up. So you can't understand how deep their hypocrisy goes until you look at Kamala Harris and realize that woman is willing to say it's okay if a racist and a rapist is elected, and she could be his VP. Yeah. You know, the video of him playing the sax, you really just want to love the problem. Oh, you're one of those people that's embracing the evil. Right. Well, I'm sorry, but Kamala Harris has just accepted a job offer from a man she called a racist and a rapist. So I don't consider that a good quality in a woman that's willing to do that. Here's their fake vote count, all controlled. Controlled politics, Democrat style.
Have been tough, but good leadership means being able to adapt to any situation. And I want to thank the people of Milwaukee for being such gracious and flexible hosts. It's also great to be back in Wisconsin, where I was lucky enough to marry my wife, Anne Marie, a little more than 3 decades.
Okay, we're having a little lip sync problem here, and I don't think we need to even bother lip syncing. We'll just pretend like he's talking. And I think it's just great that you're here. Yeah. Many of these people are, if Joe started talking about chemtrails, do you think it would get him elected? I would think so. Yeah, I would hope so. Do you realize how far down the rabbit hole we are as a nation? We're walking around with masks on. The masks don't prevent a virus from going into your body. That's how stupid this whole action that the Democrats are pitching. So if you don't wake up to the fact that chemtrails exist, how can you possibly continue believing that viruses are out there when you don't even hear anybody coughing behind a mask? I doubt any one of you have seen anyone coughing behind a mask where you're walking around like zombies, everybody's got a mask on and nobody's coughing. Yeah, your body doesn't need that much CO2, folks. It needs oxygen. Yeah, so you're literally starving yourself of oxygen with a mask on. This mindlessness, this person could represent the mindless Democratic mindset right now, who doesn't really want to ask what's going on in the air above us. What's going on in the food and water that we're eating and drinking? The pesticides, the herbicides. What's going on with genetically modified food that causes cancer in laboratory animals? The Democrats don't even want to know that. They don't care about that, but they're the ones to worry about the mask, which doesn't have anything to do with a virus. Wearing a mask is no different than putting a chain link fence out around your property to keep mosquitoes out. Now we're finding plastic waste in almost everything. Sardines, shellfish, everywhere around the world is dealing with polyethylene and plastic waste. The Democrats have no plan to get rid of plastic waste. They have no plan to clean up the waters. They just have a lot of canned expressions that, like Bill Clinton was spieling off there. Green credits and green solutions and clean solutions, clean jobs for America. I never expected to have so much adrenochrome in one evening. Now they pulled Mr. Adrenochrome off the air so he can, relax and get better. Bill Clinton probably needed a little bit of juice to get through that moment, but because he literally is burned out to the max. Hi, I'm Bob King, proud union member and complete Democratic mouthpiece for the entire Democratic Party. I don't really need to listen to this stuff. And in a little bit, you get to talk to Sarah, who's in the trenches, literally having to change her lifestyle around just to meet the demands of a COVID-spaced classroom setting and all the different requirements that a teacher has to put up with to teach kids in this day and age at this time, with all this ridiculous fear the Democrats are pitching. You didn't have masks in Sweden and you have the best control of the virus in the world. Fact, that's correct. And ID? Yeah, welcome. You come in at the right times. Yeah, Sweden and Norway are doing great. The virus has become almost non-existent in their country, and they've never stopped their economy, and they don't wear masks, and they don't even do social distancing. You can write my name in for 2020. I don't know. I'm not leaving the election in 2020. David for 2020, please. Thank you. You're kind of wasting my space here. Thank you. Oh no, let's listen to Ocasio-Cortez, the founder of the biggest wasteful spending plan, the Green Energy Plan. Yeah, the Green New Deal.
Century social, economic, and human rights, including guaranteed health care, higher education, living wages, and labor rights for all people in the United States. A movement striving to recognize and repair the wounds of racial injustice.
Here they go, framing it around that. Framing it around that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and... I'm going to take the call from
Sarah Hart.
Okay. We're going to go into our email account and get her up and running. Yeah, I'd rather not listen to Ocasio. I'd rather listen to Sarah Hart, frankly. Okay.
Time when millions of people in the United States are looking for deep, systemic solutions to our crises of mass evictions, unemployment, and lack of health care.
Yeah, start coming up with eviction solutions. We need that. We need more eviction solutions. You know, the Democrats could have put together a moratorium on evictions, but they didn't do that over the past 2 months.
Okay.
Right. Hey, you're coming in. Okay, Sarah's going to come in and she's going to take over the show for a bit. Yeah, I'm going to postpone any other information, and Sarah's coming on in. I'll tell you when it's ready to go. I'm going to set up the full screen for you. And there we go. And we're going to bring you onto the full screen. Sarah's going to give me a break right now. I'm going to put the show on pause, but I'll be back right after this.
Okay, and then...
So we're back, and we're looking at efforts by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to out various agencies, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, and other fact checkers, so-called fact checkers for Facebook. He's suing them, and he's claiming all kinds of things because of the false accusations they've made about his organization, which is legit. The Children's Health Defense Organization, CHD, has filed a lawsuit against them. And this is a big step in the right direction, similar to the one that Vaxxed filed, the CDC, claiming that they couldn't prove that vaccines do not cause autism. And that turns out that the CDC had to admit that they can't prove that vaccines do not cause autism, which is great. So a lot of lawsuits are going to be pending against this fake science that the mainstream media is pushing. Now, as we begin to see our country reel from all this two-party propaganda, like the stuff we saw today with Bill Clinton, and I guess we saw Jimmy Carter. It's almost ridiculous how they're pushing a narrative of racial disharmony when we really do have a lot of things in place to prevent systemic racism. And it's not something we can correct over an election period. It turns out that every election period, the Democrats use Black Lives Matter as a conduit for money and an excuse to run a big, huge racial divide thing. And remember, the Democrats were the ones that did not sign the Civil Rights Act into law in 1965. They refused. And now the Democrats are becoming the party of over-expression of anti-racism. They want to stop our freedom of speech and prevent us from even speaking out our words. It's crazy how the Democrats are trying to stop our nation's greatest, most important things like our Bill of Rights. So the Democrats have kind of moved off to the left with Joe Biden pushing the envelope. Even Michael Moore says he's too far to the left. Yeah. And he doesn't like Joe Biden's pick, Kamala Harris. Michael Moore, obviously he's a leftist. He doesn't even like Joe Biden. And then in some areas he thinks he's too far to the center. So the Democratic Party is as confused as any group of people could ever be, and they never ask the big questions about the environment. They always talk about their green ideas and climate change, but they never specifically talk about air filtration, water filtration, getting rid of pesticides and herbicides. They never say that. They never say GMOs are bad. They never say that they cause cancer in laboratory animals. They never say these things. The Democrats never talk about the lack of testing in the 5G area. Where 5G is being implemented, it's potentially dangerous. They never talk about that. The Democrats never talk about the dangers of vaccinations. It's a weird thing. The Democrats have become the communist arm of the New World Order. And they've been pushing this agenda of globalism as well, which is really not helping our country at all. Okay, so we're going to get back into the main swing of the show here. Finding that main swing is the key. I've got things I don't play because they're doctors, like the frontline doctors that talk about various drugs that are banned now by the FDA, one in particular that Donald Trump takes. We can't even talk about it, even though doctors around the country are, flat out saying that there are really good benefits to that drug. So we can't even talk about certain things on YouTube, or they're censoring us. Now, we had an update on Millie Weaver, the journalist for Alex Jones, and we listened to her mom talk to her about the money. She's still in jail for some trumped up charge. And she really did a good job of exposing the deep state. And this movie that she created, 1 hour and 22 minutes, was released the day she was arrested. Here's her Twitter account, or Periscope account. She's dealing with all kinds of things. Custody of her children now. They're trying to take her children away after exposing the deep state. It's crazy.
Phone numbers and certain information. But I have no problem. I have no problem sharing it. I mean, this is what the people need to know. There are so many people right now attacking. And, I said this was coming. And, nobody can debunk anything in that video. Absolutely nothing in that video can be debunked. And anyone that's coming out to attack the messengers is just telling you who they are.
Yeah. We're going to be following up on Millie as we see fit. We're going to see what we can find out about her situation. So I've got her information on high alert here. Robert Trump had some weird tweets before his death. Yeah, we're going to take a look at those right now. Let's see if I can blow them up on the screen. It's hard to capture this because they're at such low res, but all we know is that Robert Trump, the president's brother, was tweeting like crazy in a newly built account that the day the president visited him with him, he was still tweeting. Yeah. He says 25% of the U.S. Senate is made up of homosexuals, all closeted. He's claiming Mitt Romney is one of them. Now, he died right after tweeting all this, and this Twitter account was wiped out, but some people grabbed it. There are extraterrestrials in Antarctica? Good to know. I was wondering where they were hanging out, I mean, where are all those aliens? Let's see what else he has to say. When Barack Obama goes to prison, I'm buying a round of drinks on Uncle Rob. Now, Robert must have drank like Donald Trump's brother, Fred Jr., the older brother who died of alcoholism, so he must have liked alcohol. Donald is like me. He doesn't drink. I'm a teetotaler. My brother himself is going to read Barack Obama his Miranda rights. He wrote that. The second Don Lemon accusation involving Lemon sticking his fingers in his black hole, then putting them under the victim's nose. Yeah, he was on to that. Remember that Don Lemon accusation they said about some really, really horrible things that Don Lemon allegedly did? Bill Gates is going to prison for crimes against humanity. Whoa. So here Robert Trump is exposing Bill Gates in a tweet right before he died. That's pretty intense. And of course, Donald did visit his brother. What kind of a man is tweeting right before he dies? I mean, he couldn't have been in that bad shape that he was just tweeting along. You know, if you're hooked up to a machine, you can't say, excuse me, but could I tweet while I'm, passing on? But isn't that the best time to be tweeting, really? Who wants to know what's really going on in Antarctica? Yeah. Let's see what else is it. Bill Clinton is a pedo. Wow, he's asserting that theory. Now, they believe that Bill Clinton likes little children, boys in particular. That's what the allegation is. Not the only one. Apparently, there was a woman who was a sex, I guess they call them sex slaves, that exposed Bill Clinton as being that type of a pervert. Kathy, I think we have her video too. Let's take a look here. This is Truth Tuesday, so we can talk about the truth. Kathy O'Brien, right? She claimed she had sex with Gerald Ford when she was a child. Yeah, let's listen into Kathy O'Brien and one of the women that was lured into being a sex slave to the rich, the kind of women that would appear in Jeffrey Epstein's world, Epstein Island.
Hello, my name is Marion Schneider and I'm from SAF TV, and we have done an interview with Kathy O'Brien and Mark Phillips. We invited them to Germany because we want to know more about their experience with Secret Service, one could say, and with mind control programs they have personally experienced. Are there still victims of mind control? As Kathy, you experienced it with torture and everything today, and how many victims have there been, and are there currently?
The exact numbers, of course, would be impossible to know. I don't think anyone knows the exact numbers of mind control victims.
That's Mark Phillips. They believe he's a CIA handler. And he was brought in. Kathy O'Brien was releasing information, and he was brought in to kind of like mediate the whole thing. This woman interviewed them. This younger woman is very interesting. She spoke about her experience as a Mormon and being recruited into mind control and being a sex slave. Let's listen to her. Mark, do you mind taking up? There we go.
Information. Well, in my dad, or they damage themselves physically. They can be very sexual people. You will notice where there's whites around their eyes. Their pupils will be very dilated. Some can be very suicidal and will kill themselves. And when these behaviors started to come out, some of these behaviors, my dad became frightened that he would be exposed in what he had done.
Wow. See, truth-telling among people like this is so rare that you have to wonder, if these are the kind of sex slaves that were deployed by Jeffrey Epstein to lure people like Bill Gates into his lair, who knows, compromising acts could be done, and then that would be used against people, and then force Bill Gates to be the genocidal maniac that he appears to be today, wanting to inoculate the entire population and ultimately poison us with vaccines. Bill Gates has not answered to why he spent 6 times with Jeffrey Epstein on his island. He's never said anything specifically. He's not even commented about the media manager he had, who was arrested for 6,500 images of media, what it called rape porn, child rape porn. And then that you got this connection to the staff of Bing at the search engine 4 years later, suing Bill Gates because he put them through the act of watching the child rape porn, and it could be the same rape porn. That's what's concerning me. Why would Bill Gates have rape porn on his search engine to force his search engine people to look at it to determine if that was bad or good? They sued out of court. I don't know what their settlement was, but they sued him because they had been traumatized. They were suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder from doing that. So all of this information about Bill Gates, his alleged pedophilic activities with Jeffrey Epstein, really raises the question, how much of that is in play right now with Bill Gates pushing a vaccine upon the whole world when a vaccine is not even possible with a mutating virus? So no answers from the government, no responses. You hear me every night like a broken record talking about these things. Not one of the ideas I present are even being addressed by our government. And you just sat there and watched brainwashing mind control by the Democratic Party, acting like they're Orwellian solutions like cap and trade is going to solve the crisis we're in right now, when they themselves are fomenting the crisis about COVID. There's a movie called Indoctrination, world premiere. I have not seen that. Plandemic, full movie, excellent. I'll play it tonight. Thank you so much, man. You're awesome. Misanthropy comes to the rescue. We needed something good for tonight. Plandemic, Indoctrination, world premiere. It's going to be good. Thank you. Well, you know, we all feel very hoodwinked by this Wuhan scam that was pulled back in March. And Trump has exposed it a little bit. He's talked about China making all this up. Well, today's story is just so disturbing, it's not even comprehensive. You can't even comprehend it. People in Wuhan are all on a big raft in a big water area, sharing space, no masks, no social distancing, celebrating their success that not one single case of transference has occurred in months. Now, how in the world can people be dropping like flies and stories of, oh yeah, there's like a crematorium with 50,000 people in it. Oh, ew. And now nothing. It smells and reeks of an economic hit on the U.S. government. Since then, Donald Trump has shut down the economy. I shut it down. They told me to shut it down, so I shut it down. The greatest economy in the world, I shut it down. They told me to shut it down, I shut it down. He sounds like a broken record. It's absurd. Yeah, you can't even enjoy yourself today with some alternative viewing thing like sports. You guys without sports, you're really screwed. You have nothing to watch right now. What are you doing? Normally you're watching basketball, football, baseball, whatever. Now what are you doing? Yeah, China scammed everyone into believing COVID was a huge deal, and now they're looking at a celebration in Wuhan. I mean, this is like salt on the wound while our country bleeds out with no income. A two-party system that has no choices, a choice between a perverted old guy with dementia and another one. Yeah. Bob, watching, listening. Hello, Bob. Yes, I do believe that we must retain the strongest military in the world. I do believe that. I agree. We will never achieve any type of détente if they see weakness in our defenses. We need to, however, approach multilateral, communications on getting human rights under control, because clearly people are being treated like dogs, animals, farm animals. They're harvesting organs. In our prison system, they treat people like crap. So it's really very much a common human theme to talk to China about, but Trump has yet to broach that subject, which is odd after 3.5 years, no discussion of human rights from a country like China who is engaging in obvious organ harvesting from dissidents. I mean, that's horrible. Yes, we can be the strongest military in the world and provide free medical care as long as we scale the cost of health care back. The Democrats won't do that, Bob. Scissorfied has looked over the emails, and his expert opinion, and I take it seriously, is Robert Trump was whacked for making a lot of weird statements toward the end of his life. Because 72 seems a little young, and I don't know what long-standing disease he was suffering from. I have no idea. No one has ever said Robert Trump was dying of COVID or anything like that. Nothing. Well, you're a bit depressed. The whole world's a bit depressed. Okay? Yeah, we've been put into this mind control by a bunch of elitists that know that their jig is up. We're onto them. The underwater submarine human trafficking centers in St. James Island and Water Island. The Biden family has property with an elevator that goes down to the Water Island submarine depot. I mean, if all these allegations pan out, we're getting closer to stopping the pedophiles than ever before. And you Anon people, I must admit, you're doing a very good job of exposing Pedogate. As much as I disagree with you on Donald Trump stopping the deep state, I don't think he's going to do that. You can believe that all you want. I still like the work you're doing. And Amazing Polly, she does a great job of researching this as well. There is an area on the island, a sub-base, and you can look at it directly if you want. I know a lot of these things are hard for you Democrats to understand. I'm going to give you a link to the history of Water Island and the submarine base that's there. Now, at the very least, look at this website. Here is the submarine base that was put in the 1940s on Water Island. And I'm going to mark the area that James Biden, Joe Biden's brother, has purchased. The debunkers say, oh, Joe Biden doesn't have any property at the Virgin Islands. Well, they're right. He doesn't. He put it in the name of other people in his family. Nope, that base is not on St. James Island. It's right there. Water Island. You can see it. It's right in that enclave right there. Anyway, this property, which is clearly written by the X mark, X marks the spot. You can take a look at it. Yeah, I don't have to draw you a picture every night. It's crazy. You don't believe anything. Look at the website. Go there. Study it. Look at the topography. Right here is a 1.5 acre parcel that the Bidens have purchased, which has a potential to drop right into the underground area where they had dockings. In the 1940s, they built this whole underground slot in there where they could work on the submarines without being detected by any overhead flights. They wouldn't even know what was going on. So there's a whole underground cavern in there. We don't know what's going on at Water Island. We do know, however, that Pedo Island has this underground base.
The plot thickens, ladies and gentlemen. Underground bases.
Here is the property that James Biden has purchased right there. And they ran it through a lobbying firm to shield it, so that's suspicious in and of itself. But this is an actual copy of the parcel information, and this man went into deep detail on this subject. Sold to Green by James Biden, and then they sold it back to James Biden on a mortgage. It's a 1.5 acre parcel that drops right into the water there. You can take an elevator shaft right into the underground submarine base. Yeah, if you want to look into this whole subject, here's a great link. This gives you all the information you need. All right, we're going to take you out of the show. You obviously can't read a map. I'm so sorry for you. Good luck. Don't come back again. Thank you. I keep having to tell the guy the same thing, and I give him the same information over and over again. He can't even bother to look at the video. Good night, Fishware. Take care. Biden was there many, many times. It's documented in the video. He was traveling to Water Island all the time when he was a vice president. And if you don't get the idea that Biden is a little weird around children, how in the hell do you Democrats explain the behavior of a man who touches children indecently? Or in the case of Joe Biden, Creepy Joe gropes the children. There's all these photographs of him. How can you explain
with the Senate
that?
now in recess, Vice President Joe Biden is leading the ceremonial swearing in of the new senators. Photography is not allowed in the Senate chamber, so the ceremonial swearing in is taking place in the old Senate chamber.
Now that original footage right there looks very suspicious, and we looked at it closer.
And with the Senate now in recess, Vice President Joe Biden is leading the ceremonial swearing in of the new senators. Photography is not allowed in the Senate chamber, so the ceremonial swearing in is taking place in the old Senate chamber.
Okay. So he had her hand in his hand for a long time. he was holding onto her hand, clutching it, and then we captured a photograph of him grabbing her hand and pulling it towards him multiple times, toward his groin area. That's not the big bad groping session. There's others that are far worse. Let me show you. Not sure what that is. Yeah, let me show you something he said to a 13-year-old girl. This is very good. Scissorfied grabbed the audio on it and created a larger audio, but didn't touch the audio. He raised the volume on it. Listen to this.
Times when he gently rearranges a young girl's hair and whispers in her ear, then rearranges some more. There's the morning pervy here as he leans in for a kiss.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, come on, slide in here.
Thank you. Maggie, do you want to come over here?
So apparently your anti-Trump sentiment, you Democrats, and I was a Democrat for 30 years, your anti-Trump sentiment has turned into a feverish acceptance of a man who clearly has galloping dementia and likes to touch children. Now I'm going to play you something that's going to, again, be shocking, but how can you not talk about this when the Democrats talk about Biden as being such a great guy when he has been recorded saying the weirdest things about children? I can't even begin to tell you. Let him tell you.
That made me aware when I was in law school. Proudly for Holloway. Proudly for your dad. First African-American state senator in the state of Delaware. Everything about. And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. And
Wow. Okay, so Barack Obama said that Joe Biden hands out his phone number to all the children, his personal, that Barack Obama said that Joe Biden hands out his personal phone number to all the children. And yesterday, Michelle said that that was a perfectly okay thing to help the kids who are stuttering. You don't the Vice President of the United States doesn't hand out his personal phone number to children. What world are you living in, Michelle? Oh, that's right. The world of transvestitism, where you dress up like you're a woman for 8 years and pretend to be a first lady. I forgot. Okay. Digipimpin', you are just worthless. Yeah, we're going to just keep you out of the show for an hour. Don't come back again. Thank you. D-Live, how are you doing tonight? Wow. Scissor Fight's got some stuff. Yep, I saw that one. The Troll. Peggy Hall. She's very interested. She's a woman in Costa Mesa, California.
Hey friends, Peggy Hall.
Who's been very, very outspoken. She got the city of Costa Mesa to stop their no mask law. It's illegal to tell a person that they have to wear a mask. And she's doing great work, I'll tell you. And every lawyer out there that's having to face civil actions against companies telling people they have to wear a mask. Hey, if you've got a breathing problem and you're told to wear a mask, you could die. You could sue for them trying to kill you too. And Peggy's all over this whole subject.
Hey friends, Peggy Hall here from The Healthy American. Look at how ridiculous this is. This restaurant already has like an outdoor patio, so to speak. You could sit outside, it's on the sidewalk, but they made they didn't make, the people agreed to do it, and that's the other thing, they don't need to agree to do that. These are guidelines, they are not required by law. So now they want people to sit on the street. They made this other outdoor patio. Look you're exactly, actually, they took away parking spots. And here, cars are gonna be driving right by. You think that's safe? You think that's safe to be sitting right there on the street? Like that's safer than sitting in this patio area right here? Like what's wrong with sitting in this patio area? This is not outside? They're not, so this restaurant is so afraid of being sued that they're putting their customers at risk to sit on the street, basically in parking stalls.
Folks, if you are sitting in a parking stall and somebody drives through there and careens into you, that restaurant's liable for putting you out there in the street to eat your dinner. You are looking at the fact that Trump is definitely one of those people accused of rape. Absolutely. I'm not in any way defending Donald Trump tonight. No, but we're talking about Biden too, guys. I'm trying to steer your vote away from Biden and away from Trump. I really am. But hey, if you want to vote for either one, that's your choice. I personally don't think it's safe to vote for a man who's afraid to debate. If Donald Trump is afraid to debate, that's a different story, but Joe Biden won't debate. And the Democrats are saying he may not debate ever. Yeah. So I'm not sure how any of you could vote for a man who's got extreme problems with his thinking. And then Kamala, who openly called him a racist and a rapist, went ahead and accepted the VP nomination. That means that the Democrats are completely cut out of deception, hypocrisy, lies. Even Kamala is saying, it's a debate, it's a debate. No, in debates you don't lie, Kamala. Yeah, write me in. Just take a magic marker and write my name in. I mean, your vote is almost a waste either way. The thing is, if you vote for Trump, you'll get 4 more years of the same bickering. I'll take the same bickering right now over a goose-stepping communist agenda, a jihadist agenda of Joe Biden, pushing forced COVID testing on the population and forced vaccinations. Now, we already heard Trump is supportive of vaccinations, and that shocks me, and I'm sure it'll shock a lot of Republicans when they hear it, but I don't have to keep drilling that into your mind that Trump is in favor of vaccinations. We've heard him talk about it time and time again. I think Trump likes drugs too. I think he enjoys them, but that's not the point. The point is he definitely will deploy them, but he won't have the deployed process like the Biden would. Biden has a whole goose-stepping group of Nazi COVID testers ready to go right now. Donald Trump has Mike Pence. As you can see, Mike Pence is not the sharpest stick in the batch. So chances are Mike Pence won't be able to get COVID testing up and running in about a year or two. Yeah, so you're going to buy time by voting for Trump if you choose to vote between the two parties. You'll buy a little more time. I mean, if you're a swing voter, you might as well just keep your vote in Trump's category. But if you really want to experiment and write my name in as David Sponheim, please do. Yeah, but for me, it's a philosophical purpose that I do this. I don't draw a penny from any of this. I've been censored on all networks across the board for 12 years. The people that censor me make millions of dollars from people that want to stop this third party from growing. With all this effort and money that's been thrown at stopping me, with me not making a cent in 12 years, you got to understand the last thing they want is an honest man to be president of the United States. It would freak out the power elite and they would be running for cover. And that's exactly what would happen if I get elected. Whereas Trump will give them whatever they want. He's already proven to be sympathetic to Vladimir Putin and the Russian oligarchs. He'll do whatever they tell him, but they're not going to be able to roll out their COVID testing and vaccines as fast with Trump as they would with Biden. Biden would literally have you guys lining up to the COVID testing centers within a 6-month period. You'd be up and running. That means anybody not COVID tested would probably not be able to buy groceries. You'd probably not be able to travel freely on the highway. That's the world that Biden is going to bring you if you vote for Biden. Whereas Trump would have a hard time getting that through his Trump supporters. They would not allow it. I'm just telling you, these are the options. I'm the only person who promises you to end, I will promise to end this nightmare. This mind control device that they're sticking in front of you is a disaster. It will not in any way prevent a virus. Yeah, really, pick a pedo 2020. That's pretty funny. But this device will not affect your lungs in any way other than to prevent oxygen from getting in, and it will cause brain damage because lack of oxygen will cause your brain cells to starve out. Eventually, you won't even know what I'm talking about the longer you wear a mask. You won't even understand my words. It'll sound like mumbo jumbo. Years ahead, if we look back on this and we're still wearing a mask, the average mind of the average American will be significantly affected. We already have a serious problem with fluoride in our water system, which is a neurotoxin, and the Democrats won't talk about that either. You know, the real issues are never talked about by the Democratic Party. One of the biggest ones is homelessness. The Democrats don't want to talk about it. It's that ugly thing they don't want to talk about. Or the Gulf of Mexico oil spill that's still sitting there, like a lake of oil. They won't talk about that. Homelessness is a bad mark on the Democrats. Nancy Pelosi would rather forget it's happening in her city, but when she goes to her local constituents, they talk about piles of crap in front of their house. She hands them an app that they can call up and take a picture of it, and the city will come by and pick it up at a cost of $1 million a year. They're not going to solve homelessness. They're just going to come by and pick up the crap. I mean, it's nice of the homeless people to set their crap in a plastic bag and put it on the street. That's very nice of them. So we have a plan with mobile service units in every city, 10th city in America, and an exclusive solution like a free transport to a tiny house village area where we'll have expansion. Now in Portland, I showed you a couple weeks ago that the riots would never have been happening had I been president. We would have had a barbecue going on at a local area outside of Portland, Oregon. There is about a 50-acre swath of land that easily could be purchased by the federal government, easily, and turned into a tiny house village / 10th city with mobile service units. And the mobile service units will have washers and dryers and showers and bathrooms.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. Okay. Wow, that was quick.
But you can't hear me.
Yeah, okay. Sarah's going to give me a little break.
You can hear me, but you don't know.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to bring Sarah back in the show.
To unmute you yourself, you can unmute if you want. You
Okay.
can hover over my video.
I can
and then
unmute myself and hover over your video.
Yeah, you know how to unmute yourself now.
And you can even open up the and see me right now. See, if I turn on the camera, you can see me.
Well, you can try turning on the camera,
Oh,
but
it won't. It's borrowing.
it won't work while it's
Okay.
sharing it with XSplit.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is let you come into the show and take over again. And then these 2 breaks are really helpful because I get a chance to eat a little dinner, finish
Yeah.
up by break, and you can come on in and give people more of your views about COVID-19 and what's happening in your life. Okay, great. Thank you, Sarah.
Crafting project.
Oh, a crafting
So-
project. Cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, I like this arrangement. This is cool. I'm going to bring that into the video for you guys to look at Sarah and hang out with her.
How are you all? I don't know what David was talking about with you. Well,
Okay, we're back after a nice little rest. We're keeping our short shows under 3 hours. In the old days, we had 4-hour shows. And we're pulling out the 1 hour that Sarah gives me as a backup. She's always very helpful that way. And ever since we started doing the show, I decided to really carry this ball and keep moving forward despite the fact that we got almost 0 donations after Mark realized we were getting donations. Something changed. And our chat rooms, the people that came in here stopped donating. We stopped getting new people. A lot of our chatters don't participate in donations because they're not even Americans. Many of them are out of the country. Many of them are people that are contracted trolls. So all of the past 8 years, we've been doing this against all odds, even though they've been somehow keeping Americans into our chat room. So there are people all around the world trying to watch our show and also participate in chat, and they just can't get into any of our chat rooms. And I'm fully aware of that. There are logistical problems that are bigger than life. The fact that IRC chat has got this terrible IP barrier where people could see your IP when you go in. It has to be run through a virtual computer. I'm certainly looking for any means possible to do a chat room where people are protected, their IP is protected, but I have yet to find one anywhere in the world. Now, there are many options that we can use, like Boxcast. Robin was doing this on Boxcast, and that's cool. We can run our video on a website, but there's no chat room that's safe for everybody. So, hey, there he is. Rodney called me earlier. He was banned last night for posting a video claiming terrible things about me. So if you guys ever get into a video that has on YouTube that's got really bad things to say about me, which is usually coming out of, you know what, the trolls, the paid trolls, don't post it. That only adds more coverage and penetration for that video. We don't want that. I've tried knocking that video down. I reported it 3 or 4 times. You say you've reported. I don't want to hear about that video. There are a lot of videos that I don't want to see. So reposting it gives them more penetration, which is not the goal. The video that you posted last night that I banned you with, stick with the subject. Are you suffering from a little cognitive dysphonia? Yeah, cognitive. Yes, you did. You posted a video, a link to a video, which is as good as posting the video. Yeah, that's as good as posting a video, posting a tweet. I'm fine. Are you suffering from a little cognitive dissonance? Yeah, you seem to have, oh my gosh, you don't have galloping dementia, do you, Rodney? All those years of slight amounts of drugs going into your body and then accumulating. Do you ever run into that time where you just don't know where you are and you're in the parking lot, you don't know where your car is? I've never had that happen, but I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people. And then you forget who you are. And then you turn around and some guy's mugging you. Yeah, and pretty soon you're on the ground wondering why you didn't, bring a jar of Vaseline with you. Hypothetically speaking. Wow. Okay, let's listen to this horrible acting display by Michael Obama, the transvestite husband of Barack, who claimed to be a first lady for 8 years. Oh my God, listen to this. What a gross display of human oddity. It's almost like a freak show.
He is a profoundly decent man, guided by faith. He was a terrific vice president. He knows what it takes to rescue an economy, beat back a pandemic, and lead our country. And he listens. He will tell the truth and trust science. He will make smart plans and manage a good team. And he will govern as someone who's lived a life that the rest of us can recognize. When he was a kid, Joe's father lost his job. When he was a young senator, Joe lost his wife and his baby daughter. And when he was vice president, he lost his beloved son. So Joe knows the anguish of sitting at a table with an empty chair, which is why he gives his time so freely to grieving parents. Joe knows what it's like to struggle, which is why he gives his personal phone number to kids overcoming a stutter of their own.
So Joe gives his personal phone number out to kids. Wow, thanks for telling us. I mean, we knew Barack Obama admitted that. Now you're saying it again. That means it must be significant. Yeah, we have to assume it is. Yeah, so we just heard a little inside detail about Joe. He likes to give his personal phone number out to children. That does not sound good. Well, let's be clear. Mike Obama lying tranny trash. I'm going to call him a transvestite because I think he still retained his penis. Otherwise, we wouldn't have seen it swinging around with the Ellen DeGeneres show when he was dancing. And I'm not going to play that video. It upsets a lot of people now that I play it. Yeah, Barack Obama is a flamer. I mean, I wouldn't doubt he's the catcher in the relationship. Well, let's be clear. I'm not holding that against him, but lying to the American people all these years, that's a bad thing. God knows what he allowed and didn't allow. I mean, he allowed many UAV hits against innocent targets in Yemen. Barack Obama was not a gleaming example of a human rights leader. Barack Obama actually failed us with human rights. He didn't strike, he didn't push for human rights among key people like President Xi Jinping. He never even really pushed that envelope. Okay, I'm going to open up a picture of Michael LaVaughn Robinson and his dog Spot. If you want to go see Cal, go see Cal. If you want to see a car, go see Cal. If you want to get a deal and you don't know what to do, go see. Okay, we're going to try to get her mouth to move in a way that matches this. Hang on.
His life is a testament to getting back up. And he is going to channel that same grit.
Okay, we got a match here. All right.
And
let's go over here and see what we got. Yeah. Here is Michael LaVaughn Robinson standing with Barack Obama, and we have an exact match on the nose and the mouth. I'm going to show you a picture of Barack Obama in 1981, and I showed it to you last night. It's very significant. Standing with Bill Gates, clapping. Now, how Bill Gates would even know Barack Obama at that time in 1981, and how Michael LaVaughn Robinson would know him. Well, Michael LaVaughn Robinson was a running back at Oregon State University. He was a male running back. This is not some stretch of the imagination. This is a fact. This is, in fact, Michael LaVaughn Robinson before and currently today. You don't have to go very far to see that that's clearly a match. Now, I'm going to blow up the picture as best I can so you can take a look. Now, the mouth has to be in the right position. I realize that, but yeah, let's go ahead and extend it out. They've done a pretty good job of building up his body to hide the largeness of his shoulders. But we literally had a transgender or a transvestite as our president, first lady, for all those years.
Passion to pick us all up, to help us heal and guide us forward.
Okay. Yeah, I think we got that covered. Thank you. So look at this closely. How did they know each other? Were they involved with the Rockefellers?
Talk when we first met.
Let's take a look here. I'm going to see if I can get a link here. Don't get... Well, of course, we don't want anyone to get terrorists to get guns. We know that. But Black Lives Matter seems to be arming up. You notice how they don't talk about AR-15s anymore, the Democrats? Okay, we're trying to improve the connection here. Let's take a look. Okay, I'm not sure if that's happening. Michael LaVaughn Robinson is Michelle Obama. What do you mean, where can we find Michael LaVaughn Robinson? I've been saying all along, it is Michelle Obama. You don't understand that? All right, well, I mean, if you don't want to go there, let's talk about the new love tryst between Jacob Rothschild and Marina Abramovich. Yeah, let's talk about that. The tryst of a generation. As soon as we found out that Marina Abramovich did a public service announcement at Microsoft promoting her art collection of spirit cooking, where she drinks blood and feces, or actually blood, urine, and semen. That's right. No feces involved. Let's talk about these two and their odd connection and why they're gathering here in front of one of the most important pieces of time Jacob and Marina, standing together. And it's basically the art piece is a rare art piece. Summoning the devil's forces. Yeah, it's there they are. Now, why this happened at a certain time, it was the beginning of this COVID-19 psyops that had started occurring. These are the people that are the tools by which this action against us humans are being taken. These acts by these evil people are the ones. It's Sir Thomas Lawrence's 1797 painting, Satan Summoning His Legions. And there's a reason why they're standing in front of you. The reason why they gather for the first time ever meeting is because they really are, they look so in love, don't they? These lovebirds. They really are showing you that the power of darkness is taking over the power of light. They're telling you that they are in charge of your world and you can't do anything to stop them. They are boldly telling you that they can hide in plain sight now, that they control the entire media, the mainstream media. They control the political system. They control everything you do, including your food supply. So you had better bend to them in their eyes. That's what they want. Now you have a unique opportunity to get behind this third party and stop these people, because they don't control me. They don't control the third party. And they have no place here. I am not an evil person, nor will I ever participate in this type of evil. I'm a good guy who simply wants to do the right thing for America, and these people are engaged in a very deceptive, secret plan to put all of you in masks, objectify you, take away your rights, slowly erode your security to the point where you have none, and then cart you off to some security FEMA camp where they'll dispose of you and execute and incinerate you. That's their plan. And if you don't believe that right now in this time in history with all these things happening, then you must be completely asleep at the switch. And there's a way they do that too. They fluoridate your water, your tap water, your soft drinks. They've got you brainwashed by the media that if you talk outside of the talking points that are accepted, you're a freak, you're a conspiracy theorist. And they try to push the truth down whenever the truth pops up. They'll do everything they can to create the problem that you then react to, and that they have the solution to. It's a plan that they put together many, many centuries ago. It's a plan developed by a man named Hegel, the Hegelian dialectic. They create the problems that then create the desired reactions they're seeking, your fear, and then only they can provide the, quote, vaccine, which is, by the way, the poison. That's how they're going to take you out another way. Either you go out with the poison and the vaccine, or they take you out in the FEMA camp. Either way, they take total control over your life. Now, if you believe that we're all here for a reason, LaVon, yes, LaVon Robinson. You're a little slow on the uptake there, Cranky. Okay, I'm going to do a basic wellness check, make sure everything's okay. I'm still working on a better signaling system here for Sarah. She's always working behind the scenes. I'm going to give you a little capture of what's going on right now in Wuhan. And if this doesn't piss you off, I don't know what would. People celebrating and right next to each other at a gathering in Wuhan, acting like there's no problem at all. Meanwhile, our country is, almost bound and gagged with masks on. Let's take a look at this.
More and more students head back to class. Schools are struggling to stay open. And of course, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill has just now decided to shut down in-person classes a week after reopening. The decision came after 130 students tested positive. Meantime, in Wuhan, China, which was once, if you remember, the epicenter of the pandemic, the beginning, the ground zero, things have largely returned to normal. The city hasn't reported any new cases since mid-May. Check out this massive pool park party that took place there over the weekend. Thousands of people packed together for an electronic music festival. No social distancing or masks needed. But they haven't had a case since May. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
First, let me go back to the college. UNC did shut down, but their athletics programs did not.
Oh, wow.
Very interesting on that token. So that could be a whole
Where the
other
money is,
conversation
huh?
in itself.
Wow.
Yes. So we'll see how that goes. I believe the Big Ten already shut down
They
their
did. Yep.
football season.
Go Blue.
And so I don't know what's going to happen with them. So anyways, putting that aside, going back to Wuhan, listen, I don't know if we could, I don't want to go down this road, but can we really trust what's going on in China, the numbers that we're getting out of China? This is Wuhan. They have been they're a lot more strict than we are in their rules about going out and wearing masks and things like that.
Yep.
We see the brutality almost of people who disobey that. And we know if you stay inside in a perfect world, in 2 weeks, the virus will kill itself. So.
Okay, so in a perfect world, if you stay inside in 2 weeks, the virus will kill itself. Okay, that's one of the many misnomers that are being perpetuated by the Democratic and liberal media. There is a possibility that the virus could die out, sure. But they've also said that the virus lives inside of our bodies and lasts forever. And it also mutates. So how can something die out completely, live inside our bodies and mutate? And how could we ever have herd immunity when that's happening? Well, therein lies the deception about what they're doing about COVID tracing, thinking they're going to be able to get rid of the virus. We can live with the virus. It's all about building our personal immunity and solving that big problem. That's not something that's unheard of. It's called staying healthy. So you shouldn't be scared. The media is pushing the fear. And I'm trying to settle all of you down and make you understand that this is a lot of fear mongering by the Democrats mostly. And the Republicans have been relatively calm about this whole approach. I actually enjoy the fact that the Republicans are standing up for the right not to wear a mask, because there's no evidence a mask will stop the virus. None whatsoever. There's no scientific evidence driving any of the Democratic thinking right now. So when they frame this about climate gate, changes in our environment due to carbon, there's no proof that that's happening. There may be a contributing factor, carbon, but most of the weather modification we're experiencing is called climate change. That's exactly what weather modification is. They're changing the weather, they're changing the climate. So we're led to believe that no, it's our flatulence or the animals we're eating, the meat that we're eating, all of that. Or our cars. Hardly. Your cars produce hardly any emissions relative to the industrial emissions going on by these elitists, or relative to the chemtrails that they're spraying in the air above us. So they've got a little package worked out where they continue to alter the weather, and then the Democrats think, oh, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. We have to have cap and trade legislation. We have to be taxed for carbon. Blah, 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 which keeps us all wondering, when does it end? So the Democrats won't solve homelessness. They won't solve the environmental crisis we're facing. They won't filter the air. They won't even acknowledge that chemicals are being dumped in the sky above us. They'll call you a whack job before they do that. Michael never made the change. Michael is a transvestite. He may be doing injections. There are a lot of transsexuals, once they start injections, are considered transsexuals in various layers of the transition. It could be he's getting injections for breasts, but his penis remains. So we know for a fact that this is a dude. There's no doubt about it. We even have shown you photographs with him and Bill Gates at a time when you'd never think that they would have known each other. I've connected the dots to the Rockefellers and to who gave Bill Gates all that money. The Rockefeller Foundation is behind this. And for all intents and purposes, the Rockefeller Foundation is Big Pharma. Now, Donald Trump is doing quite a bit with Big Pharma in his own mind. He's investing in ways that he's going to make money. But that's not solving the real problem with Big Pharma. If I had been around as president right now, I would have fired the director of the Food and Drug Administration. When he made that drug that everyone is using, or has used for years to fight the flu, he made that drug illegal in America. And that's completely insane. the man should be fired immediately. And why Trump hasn't fired him makes me question Trump's ability as a president to actually lead this nation. The fact that he didn't respond with the National Guard in key areas. Thank goodness Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, used 1,000 National Guards this past month. It calmed everything down in Atlanta. And I applaud Brian Kemp. I really think that he's the right guy in the right place helping the people of the Southeast. I'm seeing a lot of Republicans in a different light now that I've seen this incredible power grab by the Democrats thinking they've got a win here. When the Democrats haven't come up with key ways to save the environment or homelessness, like I said, I'm seeing a general cavalier attitude by the Democrats in this election, and I'm more than willing to see this as a three-way election. What bothers me is that 4 years of the Democrats, we could see everything go upside down. Total overreaction to COVID-19 to the point where you can't even get food unless you're COVID traced by their vehicles, which will be coming into your town. If the Democrats get their way, they'll be racing into the New World Order stage of this psyops. They'll be pushing a bigger agenda that is beyond your imagination, much like the communists did in Russia, but more modernized. Let me show you some of the vehicles that they've got set up for the indoctrination process, the bagging and tagging of the American people. This is a video of a picture of Baphomet, the evil dark force, Morlock, the deity that they worship, these Luciferian people that are ruling the world. They managed to put it on the cover of one of the COVID-19 trucks. You can see, I'll blow up the screen here for you to see it. Yeah, you see that? Now that's either Anubis, one of the Egyptian gods of death. Putting the god of death on the outside of a truck is equally bad as putting Baphomet on the outside of a truck. But this is the COVID-19 mobile testing facility that they're talking about proposing for humanity. Yeah, which is very serious. And if you think this is a joke, it's not. These are really the testing vehicles, and they will be using the mark of the devil on them. You'll see the front of the testing center when it opens up. Now, Gavin Newsom claims this is his idea, the mobile medical units. It's my idea as it applies to our healthcare crisis. Anyone saying otherwise, including Trump, is lying. But you can see they're using these tools. They're trying to mark us with the mark of the beast. They're trying to take all the good people, hold them hostage, and then mark you. The only way that these Luciferians can justify their actions here on earth is to kill your children and then spite God, saying, what can God do? God can't save your children. Then kill your children, drink their blood, convert it to adrenochrome from some sort of adrenal gland milking process, and then laugh at how the power they have with their money, all the while asking you to bend down, bend a knee, and take the needle, take the chip, and take the tattoo, the ID 2020 plan, which will include digital currency. None of this is imminent. In fact, none of this could very well happen if we step up right now and stop it. What you're seeing right now is a repeated messaging by the media trying to push this agenda constantly every 10 years, and now it's starting to take shape. They've been doing this with the swine flu and with H1N1. They did this with the avian flu virus. Barack Obama even was involved in the creation of vaccines back in the time he was a U.S. Senator. He worked with Jim Talent to create $24 billion in money to companies like GlaxoSmithKline and Baxter Labs. Oh yeah, Barack Obama has been their puppet. Bill Gates is their new healthcare expert with no education at all in healthcare. And they're pushing an agenda that will virtually bag and tag the human race. Now it's up to you to stop that. And this is the way to do it. But if you don't see the means and the way to do that, and you just like to watch, you will end up getting mowed over by the steamroller that's coming your way. And it's coming. It's on its way. They're already making their big move right now. The Democrats are acting like they're doing a great job, and they're pretending like they can do no wrong when they don't even do anything to help our country at all. And they aren't even testing animals with the vaccines that they're proposing, which would be the first stage in preparing for a vaccination. So all kinds of mistakes are going to be happening. Now, they're rolling this out in some of their slave states, and I mean literally Africa. Part of the New World Order's backbone is Africa, and they're going to be rolling out this ID tagging and this vaccination process. They already have. There's evidence they've been testing a vaccine on innocent babies in Africa. Testing will begin in Africa for biometric ID with vaccine records and payment systems. See, they're already rolling it out in areas they can control. As the New World Order marches along with all the money that they can print up, with us watching going in awe of what they're doing, they're simply going forward regardless, like a steamroller. And nothing we can do to stop them other than question the activities of Bill Gates with Jeffrey Epstein, the actions of various people like William Barr with Jeffrey Epstein. Unless we question these people and these connections, Les Wexner and Jeffrey Epstein, unless we do that, we're not going to be able to stop them. We have to find their weak points. And their weak points are not here. Their weak points are in the pedophilia area, in which they've been using dirt to control the outcome. The means by which the New World Order controls our politicians is through agencies like the Mossad, the CIA, MI6, MI5, that control the outcome. They already have the projected the outcome in mind. It's already slated. They just have to find a way to do it. Now, I'm clearly a stopping point. They just docked me off iVlog. I'm clearly a stopping point in their effort. They have no way of stopping me because I have the free internet access and I've got a worldwide audience watching me. They can't stop that. They have no control over what's happening between you and your friends when you talk about a third party. That worries them. So I do everything I can under multiple layers of security. But there are 3,000 death threats on record against me and not one callback from the FBI to get assistance. They've never returned my call. So I have to assume that we're in this, all of us are in this against a big machine which has included our government and has much control over its apparatus like the FBI and the CIA. We have to assume that they're in on this dirt gathering, the secret video monitoring of people like Bill Gates and Epstein Island, where they control people and do this with extortion and bribery and a variety of other methods. Let's assume that the worst possible people are running the world right now. That being the assumption of this mathematical model, there is only a couple ways we can stop them, and that's through the free internet. Obviously, you guys didn't put a lot of money into this effort. You didn't make donations to us, so there's reasons why you're not donating. And many of those reasons boil down to your anonymity. You're afraid to make even a payment to me, thinking you'll be marked or something. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, I do this against all odds, despite the fact that you haven't funded any effort to stop these people. You know, your viewership I value a great deal. And you're mentioning me to other people around the world, but we are literally up against the biggest apparatus of financial control the world's ever seen. The richest people in the world who don't even want you to know that they're trillionaires are out there. And they're paying for all of the attacks against this show. Mark, I'm waiting to put my stuff on BitChute when YouTube decides to dump me. I have everything backed with multiple servers, so I could do that. But YouTube, so far, we're playing very, very close to the rail with YouTube and making sure that we don't cross their lines. I've read through all of their guidelines and I appeased their guidelines during the show so that they don't have any reason to kick me off. Now, they just kicked off Stephen Molyneux, and he raised a big stink about that, but he was a YouTube AdSense guy. He had a lot of subscribers. My subscriber numbers were literally stopped 10 years ago. I have the same number of subscribers on YouTube I've had 10 years now. The exact same number. Same with the number of followers on Twitter. So I've been shadow banned on Twitter and YouTube for 10 years. It's not like there's a big loss if I lose 1,000 subscribers. It's no big deal. We have a lot more views than that. But they've been able to disguise the views from me, and they've been able to use shadow banning to stop anybody from thinking I'm a popular channel. Yeah, but YouTube is banning people left and right for whatever reason. It is a travesty, Rodney. They've been doing this for whatever reason. We know that these people who are controlling the narrative, who own YouTube through Google, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Page, Sergey, and many others much bigger than those guys. The Rockefellers are pretty much the puppet masters behind the scrim. We know that the truth is there are things that are just adding up right now, and people are starting to realize, wow, this is intense. The people running the show are still connected to the very same people that killed 100 million people with bad vaccinations 102 years ago in 1918. Don't let anyone tell you that the Spanish flu was airborne. There's no evidence the Spanish flu was an airborne disease. The way that they got the Spanish flu to spread is they injected it with Rockefeller vaccinations back in 1918. Vaccinations are such an old science, it's not even a science, it's junk science. There's no proof that they work. So Bill Gates was solicited by the Rockefellers. They are good friends with his father, William. And they put together little Billy, who doesn't have a degree in anything, and they put him out there as their puppet. Now, Bill Gates and his wife, Melinda, were so anti-vaccination back in the 90s that in 1992, their personal physician said that they would never vaccinate their kids. But now you see Bill and Melinda Gates pushing vaccines all across the world. And in fact, according to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., 496,000 Indian children are paralyzed right now from a bad polio vaccine that the Gates gave them. That's 500,000 Indian children have a problem walking or talking or breathing or eating or defecating or urinating. And their families are spending their lifetime with their loved ones because they were hit with this terrible polio vaccine that the Bill Gates Foundation put together. Now, Gates got his money from the Rockefellers, like I said, early on. They're pushing Bill Gates as their lead guy here. And we've got all kinds of dirt on him, which we just need to get the government to investigate. But the government is already owned. They won't investigate this guy. They won't dig deeper into why he had a known pedophile with 6,500 images of rape porn of children on his hard drive when he was at the Bill and Melinda Gates home in Washington. Now, I've looked at these pictures very closely, and I can tell you that when you take a picture grab of their noses and you compare their noses, hey, Amber. No, that's the reason is I got to drop this. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Well, let's compare their noses. There's something very strange about this, and the eyes of Melinda Gates. Okay, we're going to look at their noses specifically here. I'm going to make them larger than life. The noses of the people that claim to be Bill Gates and Melinda are different than the noses of these people that are up at the top of the screen. So, yeah, there's a significant difference in the noses there. You can see that. And you notice how her eyes are different. She has like hazel eyes when she's younger. And now her eyes are like a little browner. That's a significant change. And then Bill Gates, his nose just got way longer too. There's some strange oddities. Yes, their head is slightly tilted a little bit, not enough to make that difference in the length of their nose. So many people believe that Bill and Melinda Gates died in 2013. Yeah, there's a lot of evidence on Reddit, which I can't quote because it's just simply people talking, but there's evidence that when they went to India, they were attacked by a mob of people that killed Bill and Melinda Gates. That's the theory. Whether that's true or not, that's debatable. But again, remember the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has over $55 billion to guard. If they don't have Bill and Melinda, they've got nobody as front people for their organization. So some people say they went to India and they were hung. That's what the theory is on Reddit. I can't confirm that. I don't believe it's true necessarily, but it does look like they've been replaced. Yeah, big bell pepper noses, I know. Anyway, the theory that there are new people really is irrelevant because they're still pushing the same agenda. Forced vaccinations, forced COVID testing, and the only way we're going to stop them is if we mobilize and do that political thing that many of you are having a hard time understanding. I'm sorry to say, but that's what we have to do. If we don't ever do that, we'll never be able to stop them. They're already well into this plan of 50 years. We're catching up to this on the internet. In the past year and a half, we pieced it all together. This plan has been in the works for over 50 years. Remember, 100 years ago, they killed 100 million people. The Rockefellers did. It's not a stretch to imagine what they're doing now. So they're very slow in setting up their plan, and they're very methodical. These are genocidal maniacs, the family of Rothschilds. They employ other people like the Soros guy, George Soros, and others, because the Rockefellers are not the kingpin here. The Rothschilds are. The Rockefellers have always been the U.S. agent for the Rothschilds. My Twitter's on fire. Yeah, exactly. Now, there's a lot of things here to look at. This particular thing, which I keep bringing up every day, this is, by the way, John D. Rockefeller. He looks a lot like Ellen DeGeneres. This is the guy that oversaw the death of 100 million people with bad vaccinations. And he had a man working for him, by the way, named Dr. Frederick Gates, which is ironic. They claim there's no relationship, but I'm still looking into that. Oh yeah, we've got a lot of people looking at the show. There's evidence that the Rockefellers have installed their 3 grandchildren in the most key important areas in our media. And I've shown you this picture before. I'm sure you're very familiar with it. But Voodoo brought this to my attention. I had no idea. It all fell together when he showed it to me. But this is a picture of the Rockefeller grandchildren, David Rockefeller's grandchildren, when they were younger. And I took the pictures of all these people that grew up and pasted their face next to it. And I've got a perfect match for Edward Snowden, formerly Edward Greenberg, the grandson of the Rockefellers. Jacob Greenberg now is Jacob Appelbaum, the CEO of the Tor server, which claims to be completely anonymous, which is absurd. It was developed by the Navy and the FBI. So the Tor server has been completely co-opted. Everything you do there is being watched. And then you've got Mark Zuckerberg, the power monger, mining data of all your activities on Facebook. I mean, they control disinformation, Edward Snowden. And they control, Jacob Appelbaum controls your secret server. And Mark Zuckerberg controls your daily purchasing and activities online with your family. They literally have a perfect match of everything that's going on in the world, and they can monitor it. So they position themselves in positions of philanthropy and power. The Rockefellers, even John D. did that. That was one of his big moves. Thank you. So when you look at the big picture and you wonder, how in the world could this possibly be happening again? How could they pull this off? Well, they've got people that work for them that pretty much do whatever they're told. They wouldn't have a job otherwise. And if they got people like Ellen DeGeneres working for them, now, that's just ridiculous. David, don't cast aspersions about me, okay? But anything's possible. I mean, you got her and Frazzle Drip, the picture of this thing that she was wearing of a body of a face of a child that was tortured, allegedly. What the hell's going on with that? Ellen DeGeneres. But no, she's not a Rockefeller. I just thought I'd throw her picture out there for you. Thank you so much, Rodney, for coming in. It's a rare treat to have you in the show. What were you doing a long time ago when you weren't watching the show? Were you a big sports guy? Because there's a time when you were away from the show. What were you up to? Are you missing sports now? I mean, what would you normally be doing instead of watching our show? All right. COVID rain. Hey, you could be like you could be the next, Prince, formerly known as the artist, formerly now dead. The show gets very redundant. I have never talked about the Rockefeller thing until recently, Rodney. That's not that redundant. We never talked about the vaccination plan by Gates, the vaccinator, until recently. You were gone for a long time. Are you getting money now to come in and harass our show? Or oh, I don't have the phone on me. Oh, man. Hey, let's take a look at Kevin Spacey and all the accusers that are now dead. Thank you. So what are the likelihood of Kevin Spacey's, every one of his accusers saying that he had, tried to attack them, molest them or something, asked them to do sexual things with them? How come every one of them is dead now? How is that possible? I think one of them is alive. Do you think there might be a very, you think there might be a slight connection between the deaths of these people and their accusations of him? You think? All right. It was ground zero in the coronavirus pandemic. Now Wuhan appears to be moved on from the virus. Thousands gathered in an open-air water park for a music festival. Ha! Party! We screwed America over. Ha ha! Now we party. Ha ha ha! Look at these people just reveling in the deception of what they did. Telling the world there's a bioweapon in their territory and then acting like it was the worst thing on earth, and now partying like it's 1999. And that is a song by the artist formerly known as Prince, now dead. A mere coincidence? I don't know. It looks to me like we've got some serious problems with things happening in the world that, I think one of the problems many of you are facing is you're locked in the Snopes site or something. You've been spending your time in Snopes all your time. Every time you come in the show, you run into Snopes and ask to see if Dave is right. Let's find out if Dave's right. And then Snopes, of course, tells you the opposite, says, oh no, Dave's wrong. And like I said earlier, when Snopes said that the bricks that were placed out there with the intent of actually hitting everybody or every city that would have riots, they had bricks in every city. Yeah, that, according to Snopes, like I said earlier, thank you. That is a classic example of how Snopes lies. They don't show proof that Acme Brick had a right and a work order for every one of those drop points. They just simply say that all those bricks had work orders. Not one single brick had a work order. Now that's one example of what would shut down the use of Snopes and factcheck.org. The very fact that FactCheck is even on Google as an official site is very disturbing. FactCheck is an ultra-liberal communist offshoot of the Annenberg Foundation, a liberal think tank, which has been running propaganda operations, just like the Rockefellers. I wouldn't doubt they're in lockstep with the Rockefellers, the Annenberg Foundation. So while we sift through the very powers that are behind the scenes of this propaganda that we've been receiving all these years, we finally realized that the moneyed interests are just trying to push their agenda of depopulation. And when I say depopulation, that means you. And you won't be living a full life. They'll get rid of you. Whether it's cancer through an injection of a virus, baby fetal cells that are cancerous and carcinogenic, or whether you get hauled away for not consenting to the vaccine and sent to the FEMA camps, well, you'll be disposed of just like the Jews were back in the Nazi concentration camps. Many people used to say, how could the Jews let this happen to themselves? How could the Germans do those horrible things to the Jews? You hear that a lot. Well, for one, the Germans were fluoridated just like we are. Their tap water was loaded with fluoride. Same exact tool that the Romans used against innocent villages. They would fluoridate them, make them stupid. So now we're looking at the technique of creating major civil unrest, government-planned anarchy, covering up the cause of the anarchy, Acme Brick, owned by Berkshire Hathaway, George Soros, Bill Gates, and Warren Buffett, 88% ownership. Basically, getting a manipulatable president like Trump or Biden and having them implement their big plan. Now, if your brain can't perceive what's happening after I've made it very clear over the years and pretty much laid it all out there as simple as I can make it, then there's something wrong with your thinking process. You may be reaching for Snopes or factcheck.org every time we talk. It's not going to solve your problem. I'm trying to show you the way out of the labyrinth that they're creating, trapping you into this place in your mind of fear. I'm trying to give you a get out of bondage or get out of jail free card by helping you release the fear of COVID. It's not a bad disease, and it's not going to take out the human population. It's a little bit milder than H1N1. In reality, it's not killing a lot of people, and the hospitals are pretty much empty right now. So relax, okay? Just start relaxing. Don't fall into the trap the Democrats are putting you in. Don't go so far as to be a Republican and to say, oh, well, it's all a hoax. Up to a point it is, but believe me, these people aren't hoaxing around. They're out for your life. They want to terminate you. Well, you guys are having problems with Scissor Fight. Rodney is a person who keeps coming in and harassing the show and doing everything he can to attack us. We're dealing with paid trolls, and most of you are paid trolls who started looking at our show. Many of you aren't even real people. You're paid trolls who are in our bond room, and we know that, and that's a reality check. We're aware of that. We're giving you a lot of leniency because we need people in the room to stay in the room, but we know that you've been hired to be here. Mark only lets the certain people troll, and if you're not a troll and you're just a person in here who've been in here from the beginning, you got lucky, because most people can't get into our chat rooms at all, across the country, around the world. We have the hardest DDoS attacks going on of anybody in the entire country right now. They see me as the number one problem for the two-party system and the number one problem for the New World Order. They see an honest person building a third party in the middle of the political spectrum, uniting America as a major threat to their big plan. And you know something? It is. It is the threat to their big plan. It's the only thing stopping their big plan. There's nothing they can do to stop me either. That's what bothers these people. Normally they spend their time attacking our show thinking I'm going to give up. I'm so far from not giving up, I'm actually thinking of increasing the hours of the show to 24 hours, 7 days a week. I've talked about that. We were running 14-hour shows and it just got tedious. So I don't know, 24 hours could get really redundant. But I can only do 5 hours of live show a day, and Sarah gives me 1 hour of help during that time period. But to do a 5-hour show every day for 12 years is unheard of. Nobody can even get near the number. Stephen Molyneux was talking about his 4,000 shows he's done, 3,000 shows he's done. I've done way more than that, close to 5,000 shows. And I can tell you my effort hasn't been kicked off YouTube yet. I understand the parameters by which YouTube is trying to control the message. We can work around those parameters and still push for this political movement to form. You know the drug that we can't talk about. I don't have to even mention more than the drug we can't talk about. You know what I'm talking about. So there, I met and complied with all of YouTube's requirements. You know that you need to build up individual immunity to a health crisis. I can't tell you exactly how to do that, but if I said take your vitamins and get some sleep and get some sunshine, I'm not violating any laws. I'm not telling you certain things are going to cure you. But truly, get your vitamins, get sleep, and get sunshine. And you'll feel a lot better. So the key to solving this entire conundrum that the Democrats have put us in, where we're always so freaked out about everything, is to simply just use our critical thinking ability and realize, no, our body is not the cause of weather change. The fact that you eat meat is not the reason why we're having clouds form unnaturally in the sky. Simple logic will tell you that they're modifying the weather using all these streaks of chemicals across the skyline. Problem solved. Move on to the next one. Simple logic will tell you that the fact that the Democrats won't even begin to question the efficacy of vaccines means that they're really hiding the fact that vaccines are potentially dangerous. The fact that they won't even talk about it shows you that we've got something to discuss. The fact that the Democrats won't even bring up the dangers or safety hazards of a 5G network makes you wonder, how could they be representing us and the environment? And the fact that Democrats continue to frame everything as a racial divide issue shows you the Democrats are the ones that are being divisive, pushing Black Lives Matter as their golden protest rally. Instead of talking about police brutality, they're talking about racial injustice. How did police brutality turn into a racial injustice issue? That's the Democrats, framing it the way they want. We do have a police brutality issue. And I've been the one who's been pushing the defund program. I'm the originator of the defund program. There they are, taking my ideas again, acting like it's their plan to defund the cities that don't follow sensitivity training. I've had a plan in place from the very beginning. And the plan is simple. We just have a shoot to maim policy. If a person has a hand heading toward a glove or heading toward their pocket, shoot to maim. If you see a weapon in your field of view and they're grabbing a weapon, then shoot to kill. It's very simple. If we make that modification, we'll see a lot less unnecessary deaths in America by cop. But that's part of the sensitivity training program I've been pitching. The Democrats, Republicans don't have anything like this. And this includes a personality exam for every cop in America who gets money from the federal government, or a portion of the money will be held back if they don't do this. They'll lose their pension plans if they get fired. Things like that. We'll give them a severance package if they pass their personality exam but have other psychological problems that are pending, like a history of violence in their family with their wife. How many cops beat their wives? Probably quite a few of them. We'll be eliminating those cops. They won't be continuing as cops. They'll be freed of their job. All right, so we have a multitude of solutions for America, and the Republicans and Democrats have virtually nothing. Clearly, a third party is the way to go. I don't need to, extend the offer beyond what I've already done. I've done everything I could to explain the need for this party to unite the country under our Bill of Rights. Bill had his rights when he grabbed this masseuse by the shoulder and give her a sweet, and look at how red he is, like he's guilty of something, But according to this young woman who's now 40-ish, who claims that at 22 she had given him a back rub, she said he was a perfect gentleman. But she's also said that she was raped many times at Epstein's Little St. James Island and was manipulated and used, so... Yeah, but she did say she's the one sex slave at 22 that said Bill didn't touch her. Well, of course not. Bill likes boys. Little boys, too. That's what they say, allegedly. So if they want to stand around and talk about Bill Clinton, it's safe to say that their effort is kind of like bringing up an old shoe and talking about a new invention. The Democrats are completely out of touch with America's real problems. They really are. They can't pass extended eviction moratoriums. Pelosi won't even do that. She's got too many constituents, as in apartment building holders, that want their rent money. So she's not coming up with an extension for you renters. So we're facing, right now, 30 to 40 million people facing eviction this month and next month. So our country is going to change yet again because of the Democrats in action. They really want us to have a president when they can't even manage cities like Minneapolis and LA and San Francisco and Chicago, Portland, Seattle. I mean, these cities are falling apart with no governance, no rule of law, not even a police force. Well, if a city does not comply with the sensitivity training program that I'm proposing, we will replace them with a new and improved National Guard. And much like the city of Atlanta is now dealing with a big slowdown in their rioting, we'll be able to get control of our country again. Trump should have done this in 3 areas, and he didn't do it. He should have arrested 3 governors, too. He blew it. But Biden, Mr. Handsy, liking to touch all the children, and you really think this guy's not involved in pedophilia?
Biden.
Thank you. Maggie, do you want to come over here? Come over here.
Come on, man. You make me look better, okay? There we go. And I'm going to say the oath.
Very nice.
Great. Okay, got some more family people. Come on in. Yeah, we got a crowd.
Okay, now take a look at this scene right here. You see the way that little girl had to literally push him aside with her elbow because he kept reaching farther and farther into her breast area? Look at his hand as it migrates into her breast area. Let me blow this up for you so you can look at it really close. Yeah, this is really disturbing. If you haven't seen this, check it out. It's kind of low res, but yeah, it's really, really strange. Just watch how she tries to push away. Watch.
Okay. Someone go behind there. So behind the fence.
Wait, say that. Keep the guys away.
Hey, Daddy, how are you? Hey, Daddy, how are you?
Okay. Someone go behind there. So behind.
Here with us, okay? Come on, you need it. Come on. Okay, here we go. You ready? What a beautiful sound. All right, here we go. All right, we got up top here. Look up there.
Okay, out there.
Upon what you're about to do. Cindy, I said I hope you enjoy this.
All right, well, that's enough of that. I really don't want to dwell on this. I saw her push away. I know you did too. Ashley Biden is, well, he did tell that 13-year-old, ask about the film I made with my daughter Ashley. He said that. His youngest daughter, yeah, I have it on One Authority. One of our people that comes into our show, actually went to college with Ashley, and Ashley has quite a reputation in college. Yeah, let's just put it that way. She's got quite a reputation. Yeah. I don't have any Ashley Biden nudes because I don't think she posed nude, Rodney. If that was a big case, you'd probably see them all over the news. Are all of you kind of wondering, will you make it to next year? I mean, how many of you think that you may be dead by 2021? Press 1. So far, you think you're going to make it? Okay. Even though we may have the worst election on earth, either way, we're still going to make it? Oh, that's good. I'm glad you feel confident with that. Good. Well, at least you have a very hopeful view. That's all I can hope for you. I don't want any bad things to happen to any of you. The election is not in the bag. It's unfortunately Donald Trump has chosen to keep Mike Pence, which makes him very unelectable. The problem with having Mike Pence as the keynote is he's completely uninspiring. He cannot gather an audience of new viewers. He can't swing the center and the independent votes. He just won't bring them in. Here's Bill, and here's John.
Limit our power.
No, that was it. I guess it's over. Okay, well, we're done with the Democratic National Convention. We saw a little of it, but same old crap.
Democratic Convention, as former First Lady
John Kasich, they think, is going to flip to become a Democrat. He seems to be courting the Democrats all over the place, which is weird in and of itself, but whatever. What do you mean it's over? Shut the cast. What's over? I'm not stopping anything. It's over. Stop the cast.
Obama capped off a night of convention speeches aimed at uniting the party's various factions around the
hopeful, not the cynical.
Maryland,
the home of Frederick Douglass,
cast 1 vote for Bernie Sanders and 119 votes for our next president, Joe Biden.
Look at, they automated the entire thing. So there was no moment in the sun where Joe Biden was given a chance. There's no moment where there's a huge rally of empty seats where all the Bernie Sanders people were kicked out of the entire Democratic National Convention. You people must be pissed off. I welcome all of you Bernie Sanders people into this third party, really. If anything, we're going to at least answer to the questions they're facing you about Wall Street and about police brutality. We have solutions. Bernie didn't really have solutions. I'll be replacing all the SEC members with watchdog people that work right now to spot excess and all kinds of criminality on Wall Street. We'll work with those people to put them in the right place to do the work that Bernie really couldn't do. Yeah, so we'll also bring forth this defund unless sensitivity training is done. And that will kind of shake the country up if we do that. Because we will have accountability from the police, and there'll be a nicer police force. Part of my plan is to make less traffic cops, which is pushing less buttons. You know, one of the most vulnerable places for a cop is when they pull somebody over. They're not allowed to actually draw their weapon, you know, when they pull somebody over. So they're most vulnerable right there. Anybody could open their door and blow them away. It is cutting edge stuff, Rodney. So one of the plans is to pull back on all these harassment. A lot of you guys, like Rodney, drives down the road going 5 miles an hour with the speed limit in his nice Firebird, his late model Firebird. And you don't want to be harassed. You don't want to have to use your radar detector. You don't have to say, yeah, what do you want, officer? You know, you don't have to deal with that. You won't have to. There won't be traffic cops and state patrol officers pulling you over constantly for small violations. That'll be a thing of the past. The new policing will involve developing a relationship with the community. More beat cops on the street in small outposts. Less street cops or rather less traffic cops. More detectives. More people finding real criminals. We've got a lot of people right now that are missing in the country. I don't know if you're aware of that, but there's a huge number of people missing from our national parks, like over 2,000 people. Nobody's really resolving those missing person cases. So there's a big demand for detectives, I think. And I think a lot of cops will be making that transition. We will give you an IQ test if you choose. If you fail the personality test, you'll have an option of either a desk job, which will keep you in the force. You won't lose your retirement. Or you'll be able to actually work as a detective if you have a high enough qualifying IQ. So we can have you, pushing a broom and, cleaning up the offices, or we can have you looking for criminals, one or the other. Do I want to have to gut the police officer unions? No, I don't plan on hurting them at all. You keep your same salary. We'll maintain the funding as long as they go through the sensitivity process. Without the screening process, we will never stop brutality. We'll never be able to give the left what they want. But what this country doesn't need is more Acme bricks. We really don't. We don't need people funding riots like George Soros. So Donald Trump won't prosecute Soros for treason. Neither will Biden, because they're very close to Soros. They're very close. They like the guy. This guy has nothing but bad intent. He's actually spent $600 million on a hedge fund betting against this economy. That to me is a treasonous act. But what really is a treasonous act is funding all the people that are paid rioters right now, beating people up. There's even evidence they're giving money to people to take videos of cold cocking white people standing on a corner. Gang flash mob activity by black people are getting funding to videotape it. So that's why a lot of you are watching videos of white people getting their ass kicked on the street by black people. They're funding a government plan to anarchy. That's what's happening. Okay, we're going to have you out of the show. Rodney, yeah?
Massachusetts.
We need a plan to get the economy going again. Joe Biden will get the pandemic under control, create new jobs in manufacturing and clean energy.
I don't know. Joe Biden has a history of not so clean energy. When you go to my Flipboard, you'll see I have a new one called Kamala Harris Truth. And if you go to Kamala Harris Truth, you will see, I'll give you the direct link here on my Flipboard. I've got the links. There's a really good article on what Joe Biden has done to our own coal industry. Oh, it's crazy. He and his son Hunter have made so much money from the Chinese and the Burisma Corporation in Ukraine. It's unbelievable. But they've given lots of projects to China, national China. While Joe Biden decimated American coal, his son's firm made millions from Chinese government-owned coal company. Seriously. I got to search a WikiLeaks here to anything Kamala Harris is on the filter. If you want to look up WikiLeaks and Kamala Harris, that's a treasure trove of information that you can gather, piece together. Here's a story about how she refused to help a young man who was, as an adult, said he was terribly victimized by Catholic priests. She refused to even look at the case. Victims of Catholic child abuse in California were not even investigated by Kamala. And then you look at this one. Yes, it's perfectly okay if you want to question her citizenship, but she is a U.S. citizen by law. She was an anchor baby. Yeah, her parents were fairly wealthy too. It's not like they had a big problem financially, so she didn't have to get bussed. That's a lie. She never got bussed anywhere. And it is confirmed. Willie Brown, the former congressman in California, 84-year-old, is coming up all over the place talking about how Kamala Harris slept her way to the top. For real. This is a great article. I'm going to give you the whole link here on all of our sites. I can make our nation united again. Yes, Moonwreck, I can. And then this one, which came in, proof that Kamala Harris's ancestor owned more than 100 slaves. He was one of the most notorious of all the Jamaican slave owners. So not only is she not black, she's a descendant of a slave owner. And isn't that the thing the Democrats are acting like we're all responsible for? And here they are choosing a woman who's a slave owner's grandchild. This is crazy. I mean, these are crazy times we're in, but this is absurd. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close that down. But here's the link to Flipboard. You got it there in the chat room. Good luck. There's now 6 links that are very good there. Feel free to check it out. Anderson Cooper clashes with your pillow creator. I saw that. Yeah, let's take a look at Anderson Cooper having a verbal argument and threatening, or actually accusing, my pillow creator
You don't have a medical background.
This is really a scathing interview by Anderson Cooper against a guy who's an entrepreneur. It's really kind of a low blow, I thought. I saw portions of it. We'll play the whole thing tonight.
And you're not a scientist, yet you're claiming this substance, which has not been studied in any meaningful way, can cure COVID, and you have a financial stake in the company. You would profit from it if this is being sold widely. Morally, is that right?
Well, you know, I was contacted on Easter Sunday after, that I told the whole country to pray for the answer for this pandemic. And it's a great administration has had me, anything I hear out there about whether it be good sanitizers or cures or anything, to bring it back to the task force. So this guy called me on Easter Sunday and said he had an answer to the virus. And I reached out to my friend, Secretary Carson, who's on the task force, and he's a doctor, and he looked into it all, got everything from the company, and he said, this is the real deal. It's been tested by over 1,000 people to be safe. Medical tests.
Wait a minute. Now, Anderson Cooper is playing the line of the mainstream, claiming that this drug that's been banned, which everyone's hearing good things about from doctors, is somehow, still taboo. He won't even talk about it. We'll play the rest of this tonight. Thank you. And he's attacking the guy personally, like attacking the messenger, a sign of a lowbrow argument by Anderson Cooper. It doesn't really make sense that he'd attack the guy at his pillow company when the guy's simply trying to promote a drug that many doctors say is very beneficial. You see, they're trying to get any drug that helps in this case out of there so they can get their COVID numbers up and keep pushing their vaccination agenda. That's their big plan. We've outed it. It's pretty obvious. I mean, many of you people are probably experts on the whole thing. Listening to this show has given you probably the best insight you could possibly have in dealing with what's happening right now. It is a virus. It is mutating. It was bioengineered. If you're a type O blood, you're safer than if you're AB. They're more vulnerable. If you're an African American, you're more vulnerable than if you're a person of a different race. If you're a woman, you're less likely to get it than a man. So these are big issues you don't even hear about in the news. And the fact that it is a bioengineered device or a virus would mean that we should look for the perpetrator who released it and who developed it, but there's been no effort by our government to look that up. Yeah, claiming a dog could detect the flu is absurd. They've trained a few canines to detect COVID. No. In fact, the dog can only smell people who are putting on antibodies. The white blood cell count increases, your smell of your body changes. It would just be a general check. Anybody with a cold would come up with COVID positive from a dog. It's ridiculous. I am the real Dave. Yeah, I'm the same guy that started this in 2008, no different. We did this thing from the beginning when we realized Barack Obama was a New World Order lying puppet. I got out of the Democratic Party and started this in 2008. Here I was, 54 days up to the election in 2008.
Hi, good morning. As you can see, I'm still wearing the shirt I wore last night and yesterday at Blog TV. It's exhilarating to do Blog TV. We've been having an incredible time. This is in fact day 54. I thought yesterday was day 54, but we did a recount and we determined that today is day 54 as we approach the election. And as your potential write-in candidate, David John Sponheim, I'm here to show you my hybrid electric vehicle.
So, having done the show continuously since the early days, I've been pretty much consumed by the activities of the show. You know, it's almost like the show became my life. And it's okay because for 2 years there, in 08 to 2010, I was still doing a business. I was still running a local business, but I gave it up at 2010. I said, I'm just going to retire and do this only because I'm not making a penny doing this. I don't need any money. I can survive what savings I have and properties I have. It's not a big deal for me to do this. So I've dedicated my effort to this pro bono. I'm not requiring any money in return. And that's why I don't openly solicit donations. But the lack of donations shows me that you people are either one of two things, broke or brain dead. One or the other. I'm going to go with broke. No, again, Rodney, you're not really, you don't match the dialogue of the show. You seem to be going against the grain of the show constantly, trying to denigrate me. So you want to be unbanned, but then you come in and try to denigrate me again and again. I mean, what's the point? Why are you coming back into the show if you want to denigrate me? Makes no sense. Are you a denigrator? Right. There's a lot of people who are concerned about new remedies. I say just follow up with your building your immunity, Your personal immunity is the only way you're going to solve any problems in your physical life, in your life. As you get older, you're going to be facing lots of problems in life, and building your personal immunity is the key to long living. Being frightened and living behind a mask that denies you your oxygen is going to cause brain reduction. Your brains will starve out. Yeah, remember the old days when you get invited over to someone's house to see slideshows of their family vacations? No, I don't remember that. Well, my family, they weren't that close to people. We didn't walk around having family activities gathering.
How dare you! How dare you!
So that's if you grew up in that kind of a family, I feel great for you. That's wonderful. So Kamala Harris
additional women came forward.
Kamala Harris believes Biden's accusers. So chances are when they stand together on the stage, let's see if they're gathering together in the stage with each other. No. Seems that I don't have the video queued up. Sorry. Yeah. So we found out a few new things tonight. Robert Trump was tweeting up until the day he died that the president's brother was making outlandish statements, and his Twitter account was immediately shut down when he died. That's a very suspicious little side note. Many of us are going to be looking into reading his tweets. I read a few of them earlier tonight in the show. Yeah, you got to wonder, did they silence Robert Trump? Because he did die rather young. We saw Bill Clinton get a neck rub from a 22-year-old vixen as part of the Epstein slave stable, and we see how Clinton acts like that's perfectly okay. So before his speech tonight at the DNC, he had this release earlier today, and no, this woman, no. Bill Clinton denies having gone to Epstein's island, but traveled with Epstein to Africa. That's not going to cut it. No. Nice try, though. A little disinformation, throwing us a bone. That won't cover it. Nice try there, buddy. We'll start again with Peggy Halls. Why are people complying with the mask laws when they don't even have the constitutional right to have a mask law? And Peggy Halls winning in court, doing everything she can in Costa Mesa, California to get things back to normal. Okay, I'm the originator of the LGBTN movement. Hopefully we will eclipse the LGBTQ movement and push them aside. Let's get back to normal, folks. Let's do it. Let's make this happen. Now, what's happening tonight, and I want to talk openly about this, Scissor Fight, our mod, is being attacked. They know they can't attack me, so they're attacking mods now. Bear in mind, being a mod, you grow the thick skin that you have from being a mod all these years, and these people who are trying to stop our show will go out and say anything, and just don't even bother listening to them. You're watching some of the past shows on UHF Plus, where you go to break and have Sarah take over, the editor out, and it's straight back to you. I'm doing that now, Moonrack. I'm the one who's editing them out. Sarah's episode is a live episode where she gives me a break, and she doesn't really talk about politics, so those are my edits. I'm editing them out. Yeah, every time she goes on air, I pull the show down. So if you want to watch the full Twitter show with her in it, go to our Twitter site. And you can just click the Periscope link and you'll see the full 8-hour show, including the videos. So check that out. Yeah, it's certainly something that any of you could do on your own if you really want to watch her. You can also catch her live in the show. That's all part of the deal. So I'm the guy with the sensitivity training or defund plan. I'm also the person who wants to offer $500 per U.S. adult per month as a universal basic income. That is my idea. It was stolen or taken by Andrew Yang. That's something I will offer a universal basic income. I'm the only one who will do it. I will also legalize marijuana, whereas Biden will not. Neither will Trump. We have money coming in with Medicaid for All. I'm going to beef up Medicaid for All by simply diverting funds from bad expenses to good expenses and focus on developing a government public option. Exactly the price that Biden is quoting, because I came up with the price before he did. I've been supporting a public option since 2008. Biden talks about $60 a month. That's the number I put on it. So he's taking my ideas too. But he doesn't talk about mobile medical units. Trump acted like that was his idea, that's my idea as well. That's not Gavin Newsom's idea as it applies to the healthcare crisis. So all these things are part of what I'll talk about tomorrow. Getting our government financially back on order, on track. Right now we're borrowing $6 trillion in debt and nothing's coming in. We're literally headed toward a disaster. Trump's cuts in taxes since these started amount to a $5.5 trillion loss. So Trump didn't do us a very good thing by giving tax breaks for the rich either. Big problem. So we'll have to rectify a lot of these problems, but we can do it. We just cannot let the Democrats frame this discussion. They don't even touch on the real issues facing America. They're completely devoid of what's happening.
People are suffering.
You wouldn't even know what suffering is. We played a video last night of Greta Thunberg. She actually lives in filth. We had a picture of the Tesla car that Arnold Schwarzenegger let her use. And she literally lived in piles of junk that were seen in her car. We played that last night. Unbelievable. The junk is, and it's all not renewable waste. It's not recyclable. It's like crap. You wouldn't believe the pigsty she had in her car. So this girl is being exploited. She's autistic. She's completely being used to push the New World Order agenda of globalism. Not going to help America, that's for sure. All right, that's it for tonight. Thanks for coming in, everybody, and hanging out with me. I'll be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock with another wonderful show. And don't forget, you can always check out our flagship social site, coolrock.com, where you can play music, enjoy the show, watch repeat shows if you want. You can also really experience virtual reality on some of those plugins that we have posted there at coolrock.com. Good night, everybody.
In a world where bass rules the planet and its inhabitants worship sound, two superpowers collide.
We bring you a nightly soundscape of incredible music. Join us at coolrock.com and watch virtual chat, great music, and interactive news.